Hi, my name is John, and this is my good buddy Andy, and you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast. This podcast is done by two die-hard Packer fans who survived the dark times of the 1980s of Packers football and live to talk about it. And this podcast is dedicated to the world's greatest fans, Packer fans. And I always say this, football's here, baby. Yeah, baby. So, Andy, why don't you reintroduce us? Because we've gotten some new people listening to us, and especially from Texas. Thank you so much. Andy, why don't you kind of a little bit talk about why we do this podcast?
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up, John, but yeah, the Cowboys just traded for Trey Lance and gave up a 4th-round pick to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Another time where Jerry Jones overspends this time a draft
Jerry
pick.
Jones.
So figured I'd bring that up since you mentioned it. So yeah, but that's we probably don't have a whole lot of Cowboy fans listening to this podcast. It's probably Packer fans, so we'll probably move on.
We do not.
Right, exactly. So this is our 34th Packers Blitz episode. And since it's our 34th and we're a third of the way to 100, we thought that we would take this opportunity to repeat for our new listeners and everybody else that listens to us why we do this. And so, hello, I'm Andy. Most importantly, I do Packers Blitz because I love the Packers. I love taking my Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes even Fridays and Saturdays to watch NFL football. I love amazing athletes, the competition, the camaraderie, and the game itself. I also love fantasy football. So I love watching all the players that play for my fantasy teams. I have 3 of them, by the way. I not only love the Packers, but I like to root for the other players and teams as well that I respect and enjoy. In addition, I love doing this podcast with my good buddy John, who I met during my broadcasting / communications days at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. And living on the first floor of the same dorm, which was McGregor Hall together. I love talking about my favorite team and discussing the Packers with John like we are just, in a bar having a few brewskis. It allows me to avoid therapy due to my traumatic experiences that I have had watching the Packers during the 1980s. So this has been great. So I don't have to go back into therapy. So yeah, we're used to winning lately, John, which is great. The last 35 years or whatever it is. So that it's been really a lot of fun, and hopefully that continues this year too. And with Jordan Love as our new quarterback. So
yeah.
So John, why don't you take it away, and why don't you, explain why this is so important to you and why this is so much fun for both of us.
Yeah, it's like Andy talked about pretty much everything, the why I love it, but I love it for also different reasons. Is that the Packers, to me, are a team that really never gets the credit they deserve. And, there's, if you've ever been to Lambeau or going to go to Lambeau by far is the cathedral, the Notre Dame, the whatever you want to say, the Mount Rushmore, whatever your favorite place that you're thinking that has to deal with like America and symbolizing greatness. It is. When I go there, I still get the chills. I've been going to Packer games for the past 20 years. And each time I get the chills going there. It's just, even if you're not a Packer fan, God forbid you're a Bear fan, Viking fan, whatever. I've heard them go there, and Viking fans and Bear fans and whoever else, and just go like, wow, this is, I can't even put it into words. And I think with Green Bay too, remember, we don't have an owner. And I know sometimes that can be a pain because you don't have somebody to kind of pull the trigger and say, let's change this, let's do that. But like Andy just mentioned with Jerry Jones is part of the problem, in my opinion, of why the Cowboys have not won another Super Bowl since 95, whatever, right? That's my opinion. So remember, everyone in the community, they rely on the Packers. They rely on this football team. And you meet Packer fans like us, right? Who survived the dark times of the 80s, who still watch them. Now, how many fans do you know who would sit with a team that has been terrible for years? And, when all these different options are available for fans out there, right? And that to me is what makes a true Packer fan. Win or lose, we've been spoiled, yes, with Favre and Rodgers. And we've had some great times together and great memories. And to me, that's why I do this. I get to be with my good buddy who I've known for, well, like I think 30 years, something like that. And we, like I said, it's therapy for us because we watch a lot of games together and we've kind of, been happy and sad and gone through all these different emotions. So we try to bring, like Andy said, we try to bring our emotions into this. This is not a podcast to listen to for facts and stats, even though I call Andy our stat guy who brings some great information. This is the podcast to listen to. Yes, you'll get some of this with stats, and yes, you get some of this with passion, and yes, you'll get two guys who are good friends, who love each other, who just love the Packers too. So this is the podcast for you. If you just don't want to hear, we've talked this on previous episodes, Andy, like on ESPN, where they just argue and they fight and they think that's good sports. And I'm like, no, that's stupid. I don't want to see two people fighting. If I want to see that, I'll go upstairs and argue with my wife. I mean, what am I doing?
Good point, John.
Yeah,
Very
right.
good
You know
point.
what I'm saying? So you want someone, who just loves sports and he can talk about it. And yeah, we're homers. We totally admit it, but it's called Packers Blitz. It isn't called NFL Blitz. It's called Packers Blitz. So again, you're a Packer fan. You want to hear some things, that maybe you won't hear in other shows too. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, also support it. It's just Andy and I. We're just a small little podcast and we need all the support we can get. So wherever you listen to your favorite podcast episode of Packer Blitz, whether it be Apple, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, wherever, hey, just support us because we're going to continue doing this till the wheels fall off. That's the way I look at it. And because I just enjoy it. So that's my spiel. As you can see, I'm very passionate and love talking about it. And I am excited for this upcoming season. I've seen some good things, and we'll talk about that when we get to the game recap and everything. Anything else you wanted to add, Andy?
Yeah, not to get too sentimental, John. We've known each other over 35 years.
Yeah, 35 years.
Right. So, and I jotted down a few things while you were talking about the Packers that kind of popped into my head. And we were going to talk about this for too long, but basically I wrote down, the Packers are about tradition. Their organization is actually right now is really well run. We have a loyal fan base, really loyal fans.
Very loyal.
That's why they call them fans. They're fanatics. And I have no problem with that. You love your team, show it. And our fans do. And then, Green Bay kind of has that small town feel to it.
Yeah.
It's not a very, very large city or anything. And so that's kind of endearing it unto itself. But yeah, that's kind of things that popped into my head.
Nice.
So
let's get to quick Packer news. Everyone's asking about Rashawn Gary. Yes, he's back, sort of. He should be back for the game against the Bears, but do not expect him to be playing. Well, he's going to be on a pitch count. I hate to use a baseball term, but that's what he's going to be on because you cannot rush him back. He is our guy to make the sack machine work and run. Okay.
And he has shown a lot of rust, according to what I've heard when he's come back. So,
and that's hard. You cannot, people, just to be clear, you're a professional football player. when you step on that field, it's like everyone's doing 100 miles an hour. And if you're not doing 100, it shows. It really, really shows. So that means just everybody slow down. He's not going to get like 5 sacks or anything like that. It'd be love in his first game, I should say. He's going to come in and be this dominating presence. He might, but I doubt it. So, everybody calm down. Eric Stokes is another problem, though. He is still not off the PUP list. He's still having some issues with his knee. And I don't know. That's going to be, we're going to have to wait and see on that one because he's not to be rushed. He's a cornerback and he can't be on one leg. You can't be in a corner, be as a cornerback in the NFL and be on one leg. It doesn't work. So we'll see. Hopefully he'll make it back. If not, my opinion would be to shut him down and keep him off the field until he's 100% and ready to go. That's just my opinion. I just don't want the kid to go out and ruin his career because I think he has a lot of stuff in his tank where he can help us, especially he showed in his rookie season how well he can play. And then when his injury started to happen, well, there you go. Started to drop off. So that's just some little bit of news here and there. We're going to get into a little more news about other things kind of related to this, about some players and stuff.
It also helps, John, that Carrington Valentine is looking like a gem
yes,
of the
we'll talk
draft.
about
7th
that.
round draft pick cornerback. He looks like he can make some plays, and he looks like a
Yes, he
really good
can.
player. I got that
Yes, he
diamond
can.
in the rough, so that
Yes.
helps. That helps a
definitely-
lot. So you
So-
can afford to bring him back slowly.
Yes,
So.
yes, no rush. So before Andy, you get into your takeaways and observation, we're going to go straight into the preseason game recap. Packers versus Seahawks.
Oh, you can say
Andy,
Suckhawks.
I gotta get a rant out before you go into your observation. I just gotta get a rant out really quick. I know you're probably letting me save it, but I can't take it anymore. I gotta get it out. Pete Carroll, by far, is on my list. It's Tom Brady, Pete Carroll. And the reason I don't like Pete Carroll is because, first of all, he ruined the USC program. So if you're a college football fan, USC is slowly making it back. They're better now. But he destroyed it, and he got away with it. Then he comes to the Seahawks, and during their Super Bowl years and everything, they got caught with performance-enhancing drugs. They got caught with some other things that the NFL said, hey, you're not supposed to do. He got away with it. 2, he's 71 years old. Why he's still coaching at 71, I don't know. Maybe you love it, and that's fine. I don't have a problem there. That's great. Coach to the wheels fall off, right? But this is the thing that really stood in my craw. He had Drew Lock play almost to the end of the game on Saturday. And the reason it stuck in my craw was because I'm like, well, hold on here. He is the backup to Geno Smith. And Geno Smith has been known to get hurt. Okay. He's had an injury up and down, NFL career. So if Geno Smith gets hurt, Drew Lock is your quarterback. And so if he would have got hurt on Saturday, what are you thinking? That was the first thing. I'm like yelling at the TV, like, what are you thinking? This is really stupid. The other thing that stuck in my craw was that he was near the end of the game playing to win the game. Now, I know you're probably listening to me and going, well, yeah, he's got to play to win the game. Well, first of all, if you say you're an idiot, okay, that is a meaningless preseason game that if you get key players hurt or backup players hurt, you're screwed because there isn't enough, I would say talent in the NFL right now that to take a second string and make him a superstar first string. It rarely happens. So to me, he's sitting there throwing the ball over there trying to win this game when he could have just been like, oh, it's 2 minutes or it's a minute 56. I'm going to run the ball. Hey, if something happens and running back gets free and they score, okay, great. Whatever. But he's passing the ball and he's calling timeouts. And I'm like, there's certain coaches out there who have class and certain coaches that don't have class. And he is a classless coach. He's always been to me, and he always will be to me. Especially, I will never forget the Fail Mary to this day, Packer fans. If you remember that, when they won the game at the last few seconds, and they had the replacement refs. And here's what he did. This shows how classless he is. He went to the reason I called it a touchdown is because he went down there to the refs and he said, touchdown, call it a touchdown, call it a touchdown, touchdown. So one of the refs is saying it's an interception, which it was, by the way. And the other ref was like, oh, I guess it's a touchdown. He called it a touchdown. Now, he should have shut his mouth from there and said, take the win, right? No, he didn't. After that game, he was like, yeah, we won the game. Yeah, it was fair. Yeah, the refs made a good call. He wouldn't shut up. So there's just things with me that make me just, every time I see him, I go, oh my God, somebody get him out of there. And last but not least, I'm sorry, I got one more thing, Andy.
This is a nice rant, John. Continue.
Last but not least,
you warned us.
I warned you, Packer fans. Last but not least, and Seahawk fans too, you cannot want this guy as your coach. He's not the guy anymore. He doesn't understand players. He doesn't understand football. And if you think he does, you're wrong, because he has Geno Smith as his freaking quarterback. Okay. And Geno Smith has been in the league long enough that he's probably going to go maybe a couple years or get hurt or something. And then you're screwed, Seahawks. You have nobody to take over for you. Okay. And you're going to be like all these other teams that don't get a quarterback right away. And is my last thing, and then we can move on. My last thing is when they made the playoffs last year, it was against the Rams. The Rams had won that game. It was over. And then the Seahawks started coming back. And there was a pass. I can't remember which receiver it was, but I believe Jalen Reed or the corner for them at that time. I don't know if it was Jalen Reed or Jalen Smith. I always screw up with names. The cornerback who's really good for the Rams hit the receiver and kind of pushed him out of bounds.
You're talking about Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey. Thank you so much. Jalen Ramsey. I'm so terrible with names. Sorry, Packer fans. Hit him out of bounds. But here's the thing. The receiver was inbounds. Yet the ref said unnecessary roughness and gave the Seahawks a first down when they wouldn't have gotten it. And it was like a fourth down play. And they wind up winning the game. And that was there were many questionable calls in that game. Again, Pete Carroll should have shut his mouth and just take it and just move on. No, what did he do? He gets up on the podium and he says, yep, those are the right calls. And the refs did a really great job today. And and I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, like he should have shut his mouth. You don't have to say anything. You just go like, someone asks you, hey, Pete, what do you think of some of those questionable calls? You just go, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I they're the officials. Okay. Do a Bill Belichick. Just on to the next. Like Bill Belichick always says, when they give him some controversial things, Bill Belichick will go, uh-huh, yeah. Anyway, we're playing Cincinnati next. And he won't even get involved in that. So, Pete Carroll, you suck. I hope you lose every game this thinking. No, don't lose every game because then you can draft a quarterback. But I hope something happens that you do not ever coach again. Not that I want to get him hurt or anything, Packer fans. I'm not that crazy. But anyway, that's my rant. I'm sorry. I think I'm doing time on that, but it was super bugging me. It was just,
So what
Anyway,
were you
Andy.
supposed to say, John? Remember that text you gave me during the game?
Yes. So fuck Pete Carroll.
Okay. Yeah, we hate you, Pete Carroll.
We hate you, Pete Carroll. Anyway, let's get to the stats and observations, shall we?
Sure. We'll talk about the preseason game number 3, the last one between the Packers versus the Seahawks, or the Suckhawks, as John likes to say. That was on Saturday, August, I believe, 26th, yesterday at Lambeau Field, and it was a win for the Packers. 19 to
Yay!
15. I didn't feel like a winner though watching that game. I think both teams, this is
Yeah,
I'm going to go off the rails now. Both teams played like it was a
yeah.
meaningless game, just like
It was rough.
John said. And it was not very good. And it wasn't exciting. It was really what I like to call vanilla. It just was not a very good game. So a little bit of a disappointment. You're hoping that it was gonna kind of crescendo, and it did not. So, but we'll talk about some of the general takeaways and observations that we had for the game, and talk about that a little bit, give you some insight. I mean, it wasn't a total loss that way, but it was a win for the Packers, but not a very good game. John, what do you think about that? It wasn't a very good game, was it?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It was a very ugh, I think everyone, who was playing was holding on too tight. Yeah, they weren't playing loose and having some fun knowing, "Hey, this is our last." Everyone was just like,
Yeah,
"I
they
don't
were
know."
calling plays and they were almost playing not to get hurt.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, everyone's playing
understand
scared.
that. But also, Packers fans at Lambeau pay good money to watch a good product out on the field, and I just didn't
That's
think it
right.
was, in my opinion. So, but hopefully the product will be great out on the field this coming season and everything. But so I'm going to talk a little bit about the general takeaways and observations that we had. The first thing, of course, Jordan Love and the offense seemed to be ready for the season opener on Sunday, September 10th at 3:25 p.m. and that's against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. So the eye test, as I like to call it, tells me that it's going to be okay with Jordan Love as our starting quarterback, and hopefully a lot of people feel that way after watching the game. He's played pretty well in all three preseason games, so that's pretty good. Second thing, rookie kicker Anders Carlson continued his string of solid performances
Woo!
inside the friendly confines of Lambeau Field. He was 9 of 10 on field goals during family night, made a 52-yarder last week against the Patriots, and kicked a
That would've been good from 60.
right, yeah, and kicked a 57-yard bomb right before halftime, and drilled a 43-yarder as well against the Suckhawks. We won't talk about the missed extra points. Okay, we will. Another Anders Carlson missed extra point during
Yeah, it's
yeah,
blocked.
during the final game, and it was blocked. The TV announcers missed, though. They missed the fact that the snap was way to the right across the body of the
Mm,
holder,
yeah.
which took more time to place the ball, which in turn helped give the edge guy a split second more time for the Seahawks to block the kick. Point being, it wasn't totally Anders' fault, by the way. The made field goals were great to see, though. Not only was Anders Carlson stellar, but the special teams unit didn't miss a tackle or have a single penalty, John. Isn't that great? Because
Hey!
last game, there were lots.
Ugh.
There were
Oh, boy.
lots. They did pretty good in the
Yeah.
tackling department last game too, but way too many penalties in this game. They kind of righted the ship, so to speak. So that's pretty awesome. The third thing, Sean Clifford, and I didn't even notice this till after the game. I was reading some articles. Sean Clifford came out of the game shaking his arm after converting a 4th-and-1 sneak at the end of the third quarter. According to head coach Matt LaFleur, he just got hit on his funny bone and was fine. By the way, he did exit the game. However, only because it was Alex Magoo's time to take over. Magoo made some plays to wide receiver Jadakiss Bonds down the field. They might be candidates for the practice squad. Bonds had the highest offensive PFF grade at 79.6, along with tight end Austin Allen. Magoo was third overall at 76.8. So the thing is, if you're thinking about this, Packer fans out there, and John, you're probably like, wait a minute, we didn't even have anybody in the 80s or 90s on our offensive unit.
Yeah.
Yes, That's correct. We did not. So
Mm-mm.
again, it wasn't a stellar day for, the
No.
offense or the defense. The defensive front seven for the Packers looked pretty good, pretty deep.
Carl Brooks.
Yep. The back end of the defense looks a little bit inconsistent and late on a lot of plays, almost too slow to the ball, which is no bueno. Safety Rudy Ford is back with the first unit and starting again at safety. So that is a change. He was actually kind of demoted down to third string, and he kind of worked his way back into the starting lineup now. So,
Good
and
for
then
him.
the fifth thing, the late game celebration was hopefully a positive wave of emotion that carries into the regular season. Benny Sapp's interception to seal the game caused many of Benny's teammates to come to him, surround him, and celebrate the moment. LaFleur said, and he quotes, "I think it's just kind of an indication of how close this team has come together." End quote. Packers fans out there, let's hope so. And then, John, you got anything to say about that, or we're going to move on? Okay, so this is what I like to call quick hot takes for flaming hot Packers players / coaches' performances. So here's some hot takes. The first one is tight end Luke Musgrave looks like the real deal. We've been saying this a lot. Fluid, good pad level, always leaning forward for positive yak or yards after the catch, by the way. And he shows really nice hands too. He actually catches the ball and looks like he knows what he's doing when he's catching the ball. He's not fumbling around or anything. When he catches it. So like almost like glue, right? And then tight end Tucker Kraft even had a few catches and blocked well. They said he did a particularly good job blocking, which is a good sign too. Quarterback Jordan Love again had a good feel for when to pull the ball down and run. Had several plays where he ran the ball well. Had a beautiful back shoulder touchdown pass to Christian Watson because Romeo Doubs didn't play. He's the last minute scratch. He had a hammy, so that's probably why he threw to Christian Watson instead of Romeo Doubs. Hopefully he gets better soon. Overall, he looked very athletic and poised. We're talking about Jordan Love. And side note, he looks a lot better than even San Francisco's former first round pick that we talked about earlier that just got traded to the Dallas Cowboys, right?
About the Cowboys.
That's a lot better pick than that was. So.
Mm-hmm.
However, he did miss a few longer passes to Christian Watson and Jaden Reed that again showed his inconsistency at times. Like John says, John, what do you say?
Patience, Packer fans, patience.
Exactly. So once again, the Packers offensive line was blowing people off the ball and creating good movement during run plays. They had great pass protection too. They were giving all of our quarterbacks plenty of time to throw. There were a few pressures, but they weren't getting sacked. So they did a really good job. So they weren't running for their lives. The offensive line is awesome. If we make the playoffs, and I hope we do, and you're about to find out what our predictions are on that a little bit later in the show. It will be because of our dominant line play, which has been pretty darn dominant. So looking really, really good. This whole preseason, I'm not sure. Have they even given up a sack, John?
Yes, they've given up one sack.
One.
That's it. One.
Okay. Oh.
And remember, Packer fans, Bakhtiari hasn't played it down in the preseason. Not one. And he's our best, offensive lineman next to Elton Jenkins, I feel. And he hasn't even played yet. So,
exactly.
That's pretty good that we have something like this right now. So,
and when he's healthy, he's one of the top 3, maybe
guys.
top 5. He's top 5 for sure.
Yeah, he's like 90 PFF grade, Pro Football Focus grade. What was it, like 96 or 97, 98? Some crazy
play. He's a phenomenal player.
It's insane.
Yeah. Cornerback Carrington Valentine's name got called a lot again. Aggressive, instinctive, plays with great anticipation, good tackler. His PFF grade was 79, which is not
Mm,
bad. That was one of the
mm.
highest on the defense as well.
Should a little bit higher.
Brenton Cox.
Mm,
We're going to talk about our keepers, our
mhm,
people that are
mhm,
going to make the roster.
mhm,
Brenton Cox is very instinctive and smart. There was a play in which he and Colby Wooden were in hot pursuit of Seahawks quarterback Drew Lock. Wooden was closer, so Cox slid in the passing lane to bat down the pass or intercept it while still closing off any sort of running lane for the quarterback. So just a really smart, headsy play. You didn't need both of them sacking the quarterback. He realized that Wooden was going to get there first. So he's being very smart play. So I don't know if any of you remember that play, but if you go back and look at it, it's
yeah,
pretty
take a
pretty
look at
cool.
it.
It's really smart what he does.
Very smart.
So Brenton had some tackles for loss and multiple quarterback pressures. John, he also did a good job setting the edge.
It's
It's
at
like
the
John, like,
end.
yes, exactly. Brenton Cox had a 86 PFF grade, which was second on defense.
Mm.
Defensive lineman Carl Brooks and
Go
Colby Wooden
Brooks!
had another good game with excellent pressure on the quarterback. Again,
How
a
about you?
special shout out to TJ Slayton. He hasn't
Mhm.
played a whole lot, but he hasn't really had
Yeah,
to. When he has,
yeah.
he has been very consistent and disruptive pretty much the entire camp. So he's done a great job. We haven't really given him a shout out, so I figured I'd
No.
add that in.
Yeah, and he
Um,
was, a pick from Florida, what, 2 or 3 years back? I think he was
yeah,
like a 1st
I think
round
he's
pick.
3-4 years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been getting better every single year.
Yeah, he's
So
been getting better.
it's nice to see he's still on the team, which is great. It's starting to pay dividends for us. He's like the number 2 guy to Clark. He's going to play a lot,
Yeah, he's gonna play.
a lot.
Yes.
And then this last part's kind of very, very interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit
Mhm.
about one of the coaches, defensive coordinator Joe Barry.
Oh,
Um,
boy.
yeah, John's favorite guy was not on the field. Typically, he's on the playing field, calling plays and whatnot. Taking the advice of multiple NFL defensive coordinators and head coach Matt LaFleur, Barry decided to call the game from the press boxes overlooking the beautiful and historic Lambeau Field. That was something that Joe Barry had never done before, and it seems to be working. So maybe he'll continue to do that. So I figured I'd bring that up. They mentioned that, I believe, during the game. So I figured if people weren't able to see the game, that was the first time. So, John, we're going to get right into our Packers Blitz players of the game because that's what
Yep.
we do. I had to think really long and hard about this, to be brutally honest, because I was
Yeah.
looking at some of the stats and I was like, I don't know. But it's kind of an easy choice as far as I picked kicker Anders Carlson. So I'm just picking a couple, and outside linebacker Brenton Cox. So those are my two. I already went into why that probably is, and I shouldn't have to go into much detail on that. And then John, you had a couple as well, correct?
Yes. So, mine is, Benny Sapp the 3rd, I believe
Yep.
that's
That was gonna possibly be my one for
because
defense. He had a good game.
he had he had he had a nice game. He's still got a lot of work ahead of him. I hope he makes the practice squad. I really, really do. And then I was gonna say go Brooks, but I'm gonna say that all the time. No, Luke Musgrave, because you're absolutely right. He is, if this is a big if, patience, Packer fans, patience. But if we can use him like a Travis Kelsey, like Goddard from Philadelphia, guys like that, where it's 3rd down, or go way back in the Wayback Machine to Mark Chmura, where it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. Here he is, right? We can't get the ball deep for whatever reason. Hey, there he is getting that 1st down. Because you look at Travis Kelsey, if Travis Kelsey was not there for Mahomes, he would still be a great quarterback. Let's not oversell it. But how many football games have you watched, Andy, and Packer fans, where it will be 3rd and, I don't know, 10, 11, and there's Travis Kelsey slips out, and boom, they get the 1st down, and you're like, how the hell did like how'd they get that? But that's what Luke Musgrave, I feel, can be. It's gonna take time. So
Yeah,
those
but
are
they're
my
gonna have to find a way to free him up. That's why
yes,
Andy Reid is
yeah,
such a genius when it comes to these play calls that he
correct.
comes up with, because he
Yeah, you're
finds
dealing with
ways to free him up,
yes,
based on motion or how however the play is set up. It's designed to free up Kelsey.
yes,
So
correct.
they'll stack
And
a
there's a
couple wide
and
receivers out to the right. He'll come
yeah,
in behind them. They'll
yeah,
clear out the area, and then he'll kind
correct.
of move into the middle of the field and get a pass
And
from Mahomes. So
and just really quick before we get to cut day, here in our final roster,
cut day. Yep.
just really, really, really quick. There was a play where it was, I think it was the first or second quarter, where Christian Watson had like 3 steps on this corner from the Seahawks, whatever. And I'm thinking, well, you can't do that. You cannot put a corner if unless they got 4.2, 4.3 speed on Christian Watson. You just can't. You're going to have to push a safety over there. So guess what? That field is going to open up in the middle because the safety is going to go deep. The corner is going to go after him. The linebacker can't. He's not going to get Musgrave. There's no way. So that should be that. That's Andy Reid's bread and butter. He just, Kelsey's not as fast as he used to be, but he still finds a way to sneak in there, and that's what the Packers need to do. Again, I do that in Madden football all the time. So it works for me. Hey, what do I know, right? But anyway, there you go. So
And John, great call on Benny Sapp. He had that interception to seal the game.
yes,
So
I
I
love
mean,
that.
that was kind of the play of the game. That's kind of how the game went. There weren't many exciting plays.
No,
That was exciting. That was
it was
fun to see.
Um, so we're gonna get to cut day. One thing I want to say that I admire anyone that makes it to the NFL, even if you're part of the 90, and you, I don't know. To me, I really not envy these guys, but I understand how hard it is. If you made the NFL, and even if you've been playing for a couple of preseason games, I think you should be really good. And it always breaks my heart, even though I don't know these guys, how hard it would be, Andy. You work your ass off, you get in there, and then one day somebody goes, "Hey, Andy, we need to see you. Head coach needs to see you. Matt LaFleur needs to see you, and bring your playbook." I mean, yeah, that's tough. That is really tough. So kudos to those guys, that they just get to play in Lambeau. And I wish them all luck, whoever gets cut. So anyway, that's just my thing. You can go on and kind of give some of the stats on when this is going to happen.
Yeah, this is our first Packers Blitz cut day, and we're going to talk about the final roster of 53 according to us. Um,
Packers Blitz
and
roster.
John, yeah, and John, chime in if there's anything that you think might be off on that. So here's a little bit of a backstory on roster cuts. Maybe not, too interesting for everybody, but kind of interesting to me. So Packers Blitz fans, Packer fans all over the world, and John, the final and only cut downs are on Tuesday, August 29th by 3 p.m. sharp. The roster goes from 90 down to the final 53. In previous years, there used to be multiple cut down days, 90 to 85, 85 to 80, and then 80 to 53. Now it all comes in one big chunk. The day after that, the teams can form their 16-man practice squad. So that's just a little backstory on that. In previous years, they had more than one cut down, and this year only the one. So let's talk about our final 53. John, chime in because these are mainly mine. And if you have anything to say, let me know. So we're going to keep 2 quarterbacks, of course. We're going to keep Jordan Love and Sean Clifford. We're going to keep 2 running backs, Aaron Jones and Corey Dillon. We're not going to keep a third or a fourth. So, which means Taylor and the hero Wilson from the preseason
Wilson.
will either be cut or be on the practice squad.
Practice.
So the fullback, and some people consider him a tight
Yeah.
end. I can't tell. I read several things, and
Oh,
they keep
boy.
calling them both. So I just put him as fullback. We're keeping one fullback, and that would be Josiah DeGuara, which
Yeah.
would not be my first choice. But
No.
we only have two tight ends, and he can play tight
Yeah,
end.
yeah,
He
yeah.
can play that position. So technically, I guess we have three. We will just skip to tight ends. So we're going to keep two tight ends, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. You can put Josiah DeGuara in that if you'd like. So technically, we only really have three. A lot of teams will carry four, even five. We are carrying three. And remember, Packer fans out there, we run a lot of two tight end sets. So we're most likely going to add somebody, I would assume, from some of the cut downs of the other teams. Who knows? So anyway, and then the wide receiver group, that one's really interesting. So I'm saying it's going to be Christian Watson, of course, is gonna be fine. He'll be on the team, of course. Romeo Dobbs, Samari Toure, and some publications have been saying he might even get cut. I don't think that's happening. He had a good enough camp, and he has proven that he can play in the National Football League. So he's going to make it. Jaden Reed's going to make it. Of course, he was our second round pick. Dantavian Wicks will also make it, and Malik Heath. Malik Heath has been just a really good blocker and a really good pass catcher for the team. And I think he's earned a spot. So those are the six I've got. But the note I do want to put in there is that seventh rounder Grant DeBose is another possible keeper. But right now I've got those six in. They said they may keep seven. If they do, it's probably going to be DeBose. And then the offensive line. And this was a toughie. Everybody's saying that they're going to keep 9. And unless they trade somebody, I have a feeling they might even keep 10. So I had it at 10. I've got left tackle David Bakhtiari, of course, left guard Elton Jenkins, center Josh Myers, right guard John Runyon, right tackle Zach Tom, tackle Yash Nyman, guard Sean Ryan, tackle Rasheed Walker, tackle Caleb Jones. And this is the one that he had a couple penalties last preseason game and hasn't really played well at times. Guard Royce Newman. So right now I got him in there, but there is a distinct possibility that he may be cut or traded.
Yes.
But he has been a starter in this league for us the last few years here and there. And so he can play a couple different positions. So he does have some value. But if they're going to keep 9, he's probably the odd man out at that point. Then defensive lineman, I have 6 being kept. And the 6th, of course, is my guy, not Carl Brooks. That's John's guy.
Carl Brooks, that's my guy.
Yeah, well, he's staying anyway. Colby Wood, I'll just work backwards. Colby Wooden is also going to be, he's a definite lock. Jonathan Ford, that's the one that's iffy. Some people have said he might not make it. I think he's played well enough to make it. So I've got him in. TJ Slayton, we talked about him earlier. Devontae Wyatt was our first round pick last year. He's not getting cut. And then, of course, we've got our Pro Bowler, all pro occasionally, Kenny Clark. And so I've got 6 on the defensive line. The outside linebackers, though, my guy, Brenton Cox, is going to make the club. So we're going to keep 6. Rashawn Gary, of course, as long as he doesn't start on the PUP list, which I don't think he's gonna because he's back with the club.
Yeah.
Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, of course, he's going to be there. He's our first round pick from this year. Kingsley Enigbare, he also plays special teams. He's one of our core special teams players. He's going to make it. He's been phenomenal. Justin Hollins, he's one of our core special teams players. He should make it as well. If any of those guys get gets cut or put on the practice squad, it could be Hollins or Cox at that point. But I'm saying they're going to keep 6 because all these guys are legit players and can put pressure on the quarterback. Brenton Cox has played really well, I thought. So, and he played really well again in the last preseason game. I've got him in. So, inside linebackers, we got Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, Eric Wilson, and Tariq Carpenter. Now, the last one, Tariq, has kind of moved, I think, from safety to inside linebacker. He's learning a new position. He does play some special teams, but Tariq is definitely on the bubble. But I've got him, as of right now, John, I've got him in.
Okay.
And that's due to the injuries that we've had on special teams.
Right.
Cornerbacks, I've got 5. I got Jair Alexander, of course, Rasul Douglas, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine is definitely going to make it. And then the last one I've got in is right now is Ennis Gaines. Ennis Gaines is another guy who played special teams. That's because Eric Stokes is going to probably be on the PUP list.
Yeah.
And that's why Ennis is in. And then so it's down to Ennis Gaines and Corey Ballantyne for the final roster spot. So I've seen it both ways where Ballantyne makes it, Gaines doesn't. I've seen it where neither one makes the team. But I have Ennis Gaines in because of his special teams value.
Yeah.
So I got him in. And then the safeties, they had a lot of publications had 6 in. I've got 5. I've got Darnell Savage, of course. He's one of the starters. Jonathan Owens, Rudy Ford, Dallin Levitt, and Anthony Johnson. So those 5. And so the note I want to make is that Tavares Moore, people are probably asking about him. He used to play with San Francisco. He's probably going to be on the PUP list. I would assume. Otherwise, if he's not on the PUP list, they will probably keep him. And then you're looking at probably Tariq Carpenter gets cut and maybe put on the practice squad. So Tavares Moore is a good enough player and has played in this league at a high level. And I don't see them cutting him.
No.
But he could end up on the PUP list, and that would mean that we're going to keep 5 safeties instead of 6. And then the last one are the specialists. And I've heard a lot of chatter this last week, and this is going to be a Packers Blitz special, which I'll get into in a second. But we're going to keep, of course, Anders Carlson. Mason Crosby is not going to be with the club, at least not yet.
Not yet.
And then I've got long snapper Matt Orzik. He, of course, somebody's got a long snap, and he's our guy. But the last one, and I've heard some chatter in the last few days on this, and this is a Packers Blitz special, that Daniel Whelan, who I was kind of talking about earlier, that USFL kicker that we talked about on some previous podcasts, I'm saying they're going to keep him. And so, which means they're going to cut punter Pat O'Donnell, who punted for us last year. And that's in order to save $1.5 million in cap space. So that's what they said might happen because Whelan has shown enough. But that's taking a huge risk because he would be new to the holding part.
Yeah.
And so he has worked on that, but he's new to it. And he has an unbelievable leg. So then you would have 2 legit players and kickers, Anders Carlson and the punter, Daniel Whelan. Those 2 guys have major, just great legs. And so the big thing is with Whelan is that he has very powerful kicks, but he's gotten better at angling kicks and getting kicks inside of the 20. And he showed that in the last preseason game. So they may just take a flyer on him and not risk putting him on the,
Yeah, I gotcha.
So that's my 53.
Nice.
I'm not sure if you want to move anything around or
no. I think
that's what I got.
Spot on. You nailed it, buddy. That is perfect. The practice squad is going to be jammed packed, I think, with a bunch of, and we're not going to talk about that because we'll wait till later. Maybe we'll mention it on our next episode. but it's gonna be jam packed with some really, really good players. So I'm excited. I'm excited that yes, we have a lot of youth and yes, we need patience, but I think our talent pool is going to slowly come to the surface here, which that's really good. We're getting better players that can help us now and in the future. So
We have a really deep roster, John. We really do, and that makes me
we
feel
do.
really good about this season.
Yeah, you need it
And if Jordan
nowadays.
Love can just stay upright and
Yes.
kind of
Mm,
even game manage, I think we're going to
yeah.
win some games. So I'm feeling better
Yeah.
about our win totals, which now we're going to talk about our predictions for the
Yeah.
season, John, aren't we?
Hey.
Yep. So,
So we're gonna go now into Packers Blitz Expert 2023-24 NFL season predictions.
John, do you like how I put expert in there?
Yes, because we are experts. We've been watching football since we've been little
Yeah, we're
tykes.
experts, right?
We're little shavers. Now with me, I did not give record because I think that's silly. Like if they win the division, they win the division. Who gives a shit if they win it 12-5? And I don't care about that. So that's fine if you do that. To me is like whatever. So let's get right into it. But the NFC East by far is the strongest division. Okay, this is what's going to happen. And I know you guys are going to be like, this is kind of what happened last year. Well, yeah, pretty much. Philadelphia wins the NFC East, followed by the New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys. I know you're probably thinking, aren't the Cowboys better than the Giants? I don't until you show me that the quarterback for the Cowboys. Why am I drawing a blank on him right now? Damn it. Why am I drawing a cowboy blank? Quarterback for
I'm
the
blanking on it too. We're both blanking.
okay, we're both that's how well we love them. Until he gets it together, it's just no, I'm sorry. I just can't trust him. And the Commanders, you're really gonna start a rookie Howell. I think his name is like come on. And they
Exactly.
yeah. And I just don't look at it like they're gonna throw
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott. Thank
Yep.
you so much. That's what we do here.
And Trey Lance. He's
And
third
Trey
string.
Lance and really Trey Lance and come on. I just don't
Fourth
see that
round pick.
happen. Yeah, I
Nobody
don't see
was
that
even
happen.
close to offering anything like that,
Oh, what a waste.
supposedly.
Okay, so let's go right into this. So Philadelphia wins that going away. They're just too good. They
Yep.
got everybody back. They're just too good. NFC West, 49ers, Suckhawks. And the Suckhawks are not making the playoffs. Well, they probably will make the playoffs. I don't want them to. And then you have two of the worst teams in the NFL, in my opinion, the Cardinals and the Rams, because I was watching both of these in preseason and they look like what's going on, man? Like really. And there was a player, this is on, if you want to watch it, Andy, it's on YouTube. One of the Rams players last game, preseason game, some running back, some third or fourth string running back was going into the end zone, and the Rams player grabbed the guy by the face mask so hard that he almost ripped the guy's face off. I mean, it was like, it's insane. And I'm like, okay, if you have players like that who are literally going to cause injury to people, to end people's careers, and they're on your team, I don't know what to say. So that is the NFC West. It's the 49ers and the Suckhawks. We'll go from there. So, do you want to talk
I
about
do.
yours? See if
I
we're
do. I would
matching up.
like to
Okay,
rebuttal your picks.
rebuttal.
Yep. No, I've got the same two winning each of the divisions. So, but we'll start off with the NFC East. I've got the Eagles winning it, but I have the Cowboys and the Giants. So
Really?
I got the Cowboys in second
Hmm.
place, the Giants in third, and then I've got the Commanders coming in last.
Yep.
And so I'm not going to go into great detail. If you're
No.
interested in why I'm picking that, John, you did a good job
Yeah.
of going through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I just think the Cowboys have a little bit more talent,
Well, they have a good
especially
defense.
on defense.
Yeah.
And they've got some really good. They got a really good running back in Pollard, and they got a really good a wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb. A couple
Yeah.
players that are um, Not that the Giants don't have a few offensive weapons, but I think they have a little bit better, at least top two. So I picked them, and they have a better defense than the Giants do. Giants have a good defense. I'm not saying that they don't. I just think the Cowboys have a more opportune defense. They're going to get some touchdowns and some turnovers a little bit more than the Giants are. So I have them just above the Giants. I think the Giants are going to be okay, but they are not going to have as good a record as the Cowboys. So I flipped those two. And then in the NFC West, I've got the 49ers winning it. And I was very close to picking the Seahawks, by the way, John. but
Really?
but
Hmm.
I'm thinking that the 49ers, it doesn't really matter who the quarterback's going to be. Even Sam Darnold, if he had to play for a little while, probably would do
Yeah,
just fine. He is
absolutely.
error prone, but they have a really good head
Their
coach
defense.
that isn't going to allow that, and so
Yeah,
they'll script it so he doesn't make those major mistakes. So I got the
absolutely.
49ers, then I got the Seahawks in second place, and then I have the Rams in third. You had the Cardinals. I picked the Rams. The Cardinals
Mm,
are probably the worst team in the National Football League by
yeah, they're
far. So
pretty
I've
yeah,
got them in dead last. And
yes.
I don't even know who their quarterback is at this point. I think they had like Colt McCoy or something, and they said he was going to get cut. So their starting quarterback
Yeah,
isn't even ready to come back yet. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
have them definitely in last place.
They're
I'm not in agreement with you. I'm not saying the Rams are great, but they are not going to be last in the division. I really think that's going to be the Cardinals.
okay. All right.
Let's
All
move
right.
on then.
All right. So NFC South. Saints. This is a bad division too. Saints, Falcons, Buccaneers, Carolina. Saints just because you just have a veteran quarterback that you can hopefully rely on. Then a pretty good defense. The Falcons, the Buccaneers, and the Carolina Panthers
Ugh.
all have young quarterbacks, all have young teams. Again, not a very solid division. Um,
Nope.
and kind of boring in my opinion. Saints will make it out of there. Should be no problem. So let's go to our favorite division, the NFC North. All right.
Yay.
So I know what you're probably thinking. You're gonna go, you're not picking Detroit, are you? Yes, I am. I picked Detroit. They look good. Now, can they live up to the hype? Because now the spotlight is on Detroit. And the last time the spotlight was on Detroit is when they had Megatron and Barry Sanders, right? In the 90s, late mid 90s, right? Other than that, no one has given a Detroit care about them. Okay. So this one, I know I'm a homer. I picked the Packers the second. And the reason why is because I saw enough in the preseason for me to do that. Even though it's a homer, I saw enough. The Vikings, in my opinion, are a mess. One, they lost some critical leadership on their defense. Zadarius Smith, Patrick Peterson. There's a couple other guys that left. They lost some guys on their offense. Kirk Cousins, Costco hot dog, doesn't have a contract for next year, and the owner's not sure if they're going to bring him back. So it's just dysfunction. And then the Bears. I picked them last just because I still think they're an up and coming team. They're going to win games, but they still don't have the leadership, in my opinion, with Justin Fields. And eventually somebody's going to smack Justin Fields and knock him out for the year. He can't keep running like that. So, Andy, let's go to your picks.
Yeah. We are in lockstep with the NFC North, and you're probably happy to hear me say this because I had it where the Packers were in last place, and I have changed my mind watching
There you
the
go.
preseason and whatnot. And I
Nice.
think they have a good chance. I went back and analyzed a little bit, and I'm going to actually say this. I think there's a really good chance that they're say 9-8.
There we
And
go.
so I've got the Lions winning the division. I've got the Packers in second. I've got the Vikings, and then the Bears, just like John had them. And I'm in agreement with John that Justin Fields is probably going to get hurt again, and he has not proven that he can throw the football.
Yeah.
and he's got some weapons. It's great that they're surrounding
He
him with
does.
talent because they want to find
Yeah.
out if he's the guy. And he better play well this year, otherwise he won't be the guy, and he'll be out of Chicago. So there's a lot of pressure on them, and I think they're going to kind of fold. The Vikings, in total agreement with you as well. They don't. Who do they have on defense? So their defense is going to just totally suck. And so their offense is not good enough. They lost Dalvin Cook, uh, and they did draft a wide receiver. I don't care. I just don't think they're a good enough team. And it's not all about offense. You have to play some defense, and they have nobody
No.
on defense. So I think they're going to take a step back, a major step back, and they are not going to win the division this year, and
No.
they're going to end up in third place in the division. So I've got
All right.
the exact same rankings that you have. And
All right. Great.
I'm feeling good about it too. Pretty proud that
All
I'm
right.
picking the
Awesome.
Packers in second. So
Nice.
then I've got the Saints, the Falcons, just like John. Saints winning the division for the NFC South, and then the Falcons in second place. But then I differed with John. I've got Carolina in third place,
Really?
and I got Buccaneers in last. I really think the Buccaneers, in a certain way, when they have Baker Mayfield as their starting quarterback, they're trying to
Yeah.
tank when they're doing that. So I just think they do have some players still on that team, but Mayfield's Baker Mayfield, man. So I just
I
think
got you.
that the Saints and the Falcons are both going to benefit from having Carolina and the Buccaneers, and they're going to beat up on those two and win some games. So I have actually the Saints and the Falcons eventually getting into the playoffs. We'll get into that in a second, but
Yeah,
I
we're
think
getting
it's
there.
because they're going to be beating up on those two, and they're going to both be horrible. So
Yeah.
they may end up with the same record, but
Okay.
I've got Carolina and the Buccaneers in that order. So flip flop from John.
All right. So let's go to AFC, shall we?
We shall.
AFC West, we'll start with that. So pretty easy. Chiefs. I mean, come on. Broncos. Yeah. I know what you're probably thinking. I had trouble with the Broncos putting them there. Chargers and then Raiders. Raiders are a dumpster fire surrounded by another dumpster fire. Devontae Adams could have stayed with us, buddy. Just saying. Just saying, buddy. So that's easy. AFC East, this is the fun one because you know who it's the Jets. So AFC East, this is a real puzzler for me because I think this is it's a better division than you give it credit. Okay. The AFC West, I mean, it's the Chiefs and Chargers, Broncos, I guess. But Chiefs by far just gonna dominate again. So I'm picking the Bills again for Bills Mafia out there. I'm picking the Jets. I've seen them in preseason. They're up and down. I know they're inconsistent. They have to. I mean, they have to. They got too much riding on this. Patriots, just because it's Bill Belichick and he can coach in his sleep. Dolphins, I picked last, and the reason why is because Tua. I have no faith in him. Zero faith in Tua. So, Andy, what do you think? Let's start with the AFC West.
Actually, I'm going to start with the AFC East
Oh, let's start
because
with
you
the
just
AFC
talked about
East.
because we are not in total agreement at all on that division.
Oh,
And I
we are
do
not. No, we're not.
I do agree with you about Tua, and the Dolphins could
Come on.
easily be in last place, but this is his last chance. Last chance. So we'll see what happens. They don't have the
You are
world's
wrong.
yeah, I might be. They don't have the world's best offensive line to protect him, so we'll see what happens. I've got the Bills winning the division. I've got the Dolphins in second place. They have a really, really, really good defense. They've added some players, and I think that's going to help their cause. So I've got them
but
in
they can't
second.
score any points.
Well, we'll see if Tua's
All right.
if Tua's quarterback. They did score points even when he didn't play. They have
That's
a really
true.
good head coach and offensive coordinator. I've got the Jets in third. I think it's going to be not a good
Wow.
season for them. Their offensive line's not going to hold up. And,
We talked about that.
Rodgers on that turf, we'll see what happens. But,
Yeah, that's right.
he has a lot of soft tissue injuries anymore and whatnot.
Yeah,
And hopefully he doesn't hurt his calf or whatever. But
yeah.
I've got them in third. And then I've got the Patriots dead last. And
Wow.
that's just the way. I don't think the
Okay.
Patriots are a very talented team. They have a really good defense, but that's
Yeah,
a
they're
really
off
tough
then.
division and a really good AFC.
Yeah,
And I just think
really tough
they're
division.
going to end up being. They may tie the Jets. You know,
Mm,
like you're absolutely right, John. The Dolphins may be in last place, then you just bump everybody up. It's going to go Bills, Jets, Patriots, and Dolphins in last. If
yeah, yeah.
something happens to Tua, it's all over probably for the
Yep.
Dolphins. That's true.
Oh, yeah.
And then the AFC West, I've got the Chiefs, of course, until somebody knocks them off their pedestal.
Yeah.
Mahomes is really good on the road,
Yeah, he's really good.
and it doesn't matter that that's a really good division. He still finds a way to win. I don't know how he does it. He's just,
Mm,
well, I do.
okay.
He's a really good player.
Yeah,
One
he's
of
a really
by
good
the top,
player.
right? By the top player in the league. So you got
Oh,
the
by far.
Chiefs winning the division. You got I have the Chargers in second place, and
Mm.
I've got the Broncos in third. I think they're losing a lot of people on offense, a lot of
Yeah, Judy
skill
just went out.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of skill position players. So I mean, Russell can't do it all by himself. So, and they've got that running back too, that's coming back from knee surgery, major knee surgery. So, they got a lot of question marks. And
Yeah.
they have a really good head coach. I'm not, demeaning him in any way, but I think he's going to have a tough first year, and I don't think he's going to make the playoffs, and he's going to end up in third place. And I've got the Raiders, of course, in last. I think everybody's just going to be beating up on those guys all year.
Yes,
And the Raiders do have a little bit of talent here and there,
they do.
but they do not have the quarterback.
Yep.
So in that division, if you're ranking the quarterbacks, that's pretty much how I have the division going,
Yeah,
is based on that. So
yeah.
that's why I
All
did what I
right.
did.
All right, cool. So let's do AFC's. I'm going to do AFC South. Jaguars. Yeah, I think they still got some of that fire from last year. I think they'll do fine. Titans. I'm really iffy on them. Texans. I'm even more iffy. And Colts with Jonathan Taylor in this situation. Boy, what a mess. I feel sorry for the Colts because they used to be such a good team and fun team to watch. Now they're a dumpster fire and a dumpster fire, just like the Raiders. And that's a
Yeah.
weak division. I think the Titans and Jaguars will battle it out. AFC North.
Well, before you go to that,
Okay,
John, I am in total agreement with the AFC South. I had the exact same picks.
okay,
We'll move
great.
on to AFC North. I don't need to
Yeah, yeah.
say anything. Very
No, no,
eloquently
no.
said.
Okay, cool. So then AFC North, Bengals. Well, Joe Burrow, you hope he can stay healthy. That's a big, big, big one for the Bengals. If he's not healthy, it could be a long season. Although they are a talented team, hopefully they can bounce back from it. Steelers, just because of the Steelers and Kenny Pickett's doing better, and they just find a way to win. Ravens, I think they take a down year this year just because they do have talent and they're always Harbaugh is a very nice, a good coach. I just don't see them. I see the Steelers up and coming, and then the Browns, just because of the Browns, and they just can't get out of their own way. Yeah. So that was me. So what do you got?
Yeah, I've got the Bengals winning that division, the AFC North, as well. But I've got the Ravens in second place instead of the Steelers. I
Mm,
think all three of those teams are going to be above
cool.
500 because Tomlin always is above
Tomlin
500,
always
right?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think those three teams are really good teams, really solid teams.
Yes,
And the
they are.
Browns, I don't have any faith in those guys and their
No, who
starting
does?
quarterback. So I've got them dead last, just like you do.
Eh?
So I just flip flop the Ravens and the Steelers. I think all three of those teams are going to be pretty good.
Mhm.
And you're right. Joe Burrow has to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, I'm sure, by the
Yeah.
Bengals fans for that one.
Yeah.
They have been trying to put a really stout offensive line in front of them. They've been trying, As
Trying.
long as that happens, he's definitely has a
Yeah.
ton of weapons on
Mhm.
offense still.
Oh, yeah, he'll be
So,
fine. Yeah. So let's get right to the NFC playoffs. And Andy, I know you're gonna be like,
Homer.
John, you homer. Yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna say this. This is my so everyone has bold predictions or that team that sneaks in, right? Last year it was the Jaguars. Like everybody said, oh, they're gonna be good. Maybe they're not, man. And then boom, look at them. I mean, they really went places. And years before, it might have been like the Arizona Cardinals or whatever, right? There's always that team that just comes out of nowhere that people don't expect. That's our Packers. They will be the 7th seed. The 6th seed would be the Saints. 5th seed, Cowboys. 4th seed, Giants. 3rd seed, oh my God, Detroit fans, when have you been the 3rd seed in the NFL playoffs? 2nd seed, 49ers. 1st seed, Philadelphia. So, Andy, what do you think? Yours is a little different.
It's a little bit different. Yeah. I've got the Falcons as the 7th seed,
Oh,
only because they're in a horrible division,
that's true.
and
They're
I
bad.
think they're gonna get some extra wins from that, and they're gonna sneak in. So I've got them at the 7th seed. They do have a lot of offensive weapons, but a really inexperienced quarterback. So we'll
Yeah.
see. They
Yeah.
could be really good on offense, and their defense has been improving. So I've got them
Yeah.
sneaking in. Uh, then I've got the Saints as the 6th seed, just like you. The 5th seed were the Cowboys, and the 4th seed I had the Seahawks
What?
in there. So I've got them making the playoffs. That's a big change
Ugh.
from you and me. You've got the Giants. The Giants ain't making the playoffs. So I got the Seahawks in there. And then I've got the Lions as the 3rd seed, just like you. The 49ers as the 2nd seed, and the Eagles as the 1st seed.
Yeah.
So we're in lockstep with those.
Gotcha. So let's go to wild card. So Packers, 49ers, Saints, Detroit, Cowboys, Giants, and oh, excuse me.
That's me.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah, it just went down. So
Okay.
yeah, no,
Cowboys.
you got Cowboys, Giants. You're right.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
mine just went over there. I'm putting it in there. Sorry. I must have hit
So that's
return.
that is your wild card. And then what do you say for wild card?
Yeah, I've got well, again, when you look at the seeds the way we had them, so I've got the Falcons and the 49ers, I've got the Saints and the Lions, and then I got the Cowboys and the Seahawks in the wild card. So those
Okay.
yep.
All
So
right. All right. Um,
and then the divisional
yeah,
round.
so divisional, I got Eagles, Giants, and believe it or not, 49ers and Detroit.
Yep. Yep, I've got that as well, John,
All
except I've got
right.
the Eagles and the Seahawks. I've got the Seahawks making it through against the Cowboys because it's going to
Really?
be in Seattle, and I think the
Oh, that's
Cowboys are
true.
going to choke, and
Yeah,
the Seahawks are going to find a way to beat them. Special teams play, whatever.
gotcha.
So that's why I have them, and I think the Cowboys are going to be frustrated again. I hate to say it.
Again.
So again, so but we're in pretty much in lockstep with that for the most
Yeah.
part, except the Seahawks sneaking. You got
Yeah.
the Giants. You feel really good about the Giants. I do not.
Yep.
I think they might be close to 500 this
Okay.
year, but they are
All
not
right.
going to make the playoffs, in my
Okay.
opinion. But
All right. We'll see, right? And then NFC Championship game, no surprise.
nope,
Eagles, 49ers.
that's who I've got.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And then going to the Super Bowl, who's going
Eagles.
again?
Yep.
Okay,
Sorry.
I got them going again too. So we're in lockstep with
Yeah.
that.
So let's get the AFC, and we'll talk about this more as the season goes on and stuff. But come on, it's Eagles. I mean, unless there's something again during the season, a lot of stuff can happen. You never know who's healthy and who's not. So
Yep.
let's go to the AFC playoffs. So I
Yeah.
got 7th seed Broncos, 6th seed Ravens, 5th seed Jets, 4th seed Bills, 3rd seed Bengals, 2nd seed, believe it or not, Jaguars, and of course, the 1st
Wow.
seed is the Chiefs. So,
Ah.
what do you got, Andy?
Yeah, so this is really setting up for you like it did last year, John.
I know.
Okay. You know how things change a lot in the National Football League
I
from year to
know,
year,
but
but okay.
I
Okay,
just
well, those are your picks.
that's my
7th
pick.
seed, I've got the Dolphins in there.
Okay.
I'm feeling really good about them, but
You
you're
just
right,
don't.
Tua gets hurt and they won't be there.
No.
Um, Dolphins is the 7th seed, they're gonna sneak in. Then I've got the 6th seed being the Chargers.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I've got the 5th, they're gonna get back in again this year. The 5th seed would be the Ravens. You got him as 6 seed, but I got him as 5, which is pretty close. That's good enough. And then the 4th seed, I also have the Bills. The 3rd seed, I also have the Bengals. The 2nd seed, though, I've got the Chiefs.
What?
And my justification for that is I think they're going to lose more games in the division than they have in previous years.
Okay.
And so, because of that, because of the Jaguars being in a suckier division, a much suckier division, they are going to become somehow the 1st seed.
Oh,
That's not
hold
going
up,
to help them, but they're going to be the top seed.
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold
Okay.
up. Where are the Jets?
They're not in there. Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
man, this is a Packers Blitz special.
Yeah.
No Jets in the playoffs.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope. Nope.
wow. What's the
It's the
reasoning? I
Jets.
just hear it really quick. What is your reasoning?
Oh, I just don't think they're going to make. They have a really good defense, but I don't think that's going to be enough.
Okay.
Something's
Okay.
going to happen.
Woo!
They don't have
Hot
enough
take.
depth on that offensive line, and if they
Hot
can't
take.
protect Rodgers, it's all over.
Hot take.
So,
All right. So,
I mean, my opinion, they aren't going to make it. Now, if they do, it's going to be again, they're going to take the Dolphins spot and they'll sneak into the playoffs and maybe go on a run like you did in what 2012
yeah.
with us. Was it
Yeah.
2010?
2010.
Way back when.
Way
So,
back.
yeah.
All right. So wild cards obviously going to be different. So wild cards, I have Broncos, Jaguars, Ravens, Bengals, Jets, Bills.
Whoa. Not good for the Jets, maybe. I've got the Dolphins and the Chiefs. I've got the Chargers and the Bengals and the Ravens and the Bills in the wild card.
Interesting. All right. So
Yep.
divisional, I have Jaguars, Bengals, and Bills, Chiefs.
Yep. I've got all the same teams that you have, except different because they were different seeds. So I got the Chiefs playing the Bengals again and the Bills playing the Jaguars.
Okay.
So all same four teams, just different, teams playing different teams, in different spots. But
Yeah.
so the AFC Championship game, John,
Yep.
who do you got?
Chiefs, Bengals. Same old, same old.
Okay, in the AFC Championship.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've got the Bengals beating the Chiefs. I've got the
Woo!
Bengals and the Bills. The Bills will beat the Jaguars. Even though
Wow.
the Jaguars will be at home, it won't matter.
Okay. And
Okay.
then so my Super Bowl, I got the Chiefs, and you got the who?
Bengals.
Bengal. The Bills get shut out again? Oh, Bills
Yep.
fans. Oh, Bills fans.
Yeah, their defense is good, but not good enough to stop the Bengals. So we'll have
Oh,
them going, and I think it's Joe Burrow's year to go
yeah.
again. So,
Okay.
but then then you got John, you have the same Super Bowl as
I
the
have the same
previous
Super
year.
Bowl winner from last year, the Chiefs. I'm boring.
Okay, yeah,
Who you got?
I've got the Eagles winning,
The
so
Eagles
beating the
flying
Bengals.
in from
Yep,
they haven't won since 2018.
the
They
Eagles
finally
are gonna fly. They're gonna fly, and they're gonna
all
beat.
right.
They're gonna beat the Bengals. Joe Burrow's gonna get there again and then lose again.
Oh, Joe Burrow.
So he's gonna get eaten alive by their defense. Their
Yeah,
defense
that
is
defense.
stacked,
Yeah.
absolutely stacked. So I've got
Okay.
so as long as Jalen Hurts, it always comes down to the quarterback. As long as
Yeah,
he
he has to
stays
stay healthy.
upright, they have a great offensive line in front of
Yeah,
him. So
right. It's a no-brainer. I
right,
mean, it's just the way it goes.
yep.
All right, Packer Blitz fans, if you don't agree with this, comment and be like, "You guys are off. You guys, what have you guys been smoking?" You can send it to packersblitz80@gmail.com or comment on any one of our podcast sites that you want to, Spotify, Apple, whatever. So, end of the podcast. Andy,
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, John, I cut you off.
no.
So I was just going to give a quick preview of next week's episode, and I didn't even really talk to John about this, but this is what my plan is for next week. It may change, but
Sure, let's do that.
so we need to talk about who actually made the 53-man roster. So that's the first thing in next week's episode. The second thing, a Packers Blitz ranking of the Packers 13 draft picks in this year's 2023 draft. I would guess not all 13 of them are going to be on the team, but we're going to rank them next week. Does that sound like fun, John?
I love it.
Okay. And then very interesting, the Packers will have the cheapest offense in the NFL. And Packers Blitz will discuss that. So we'll talk about some interesting facts with that whole thing. And then very, very interesting. Green Bay Packers fans take the crown for the most beers per game. And it's not even close. Tune in next time to find out how many beers we pound per game.
Brewski.
It's not even close, John. So
yes, I got you.
That's a little teaser for next week. We'll talk a little bit about the beer chugging by Packers fans. And then the fifth thing, the big things we have learned from training camp and what that means for the upcoming Packers 2023-2024 campaign. And then the last thing that I would like to talk about would be, of course, we're going to preview the first game of the season against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Of course, we're going to go through that before the game on September 10th, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
At 3:25.
So I'm not sure, John, exactly when we'll be back, hopefully in the next week or so, and we'll have to discuss that, but busy week.
Busy week, my friends. Again, Andy, thank you so much. I love doing this podcast with you. Remember, rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to Packer Blitz on your favorite podcast site, Apple, Spotify, Pocket Cast, wherever you listen to. We love you out there. This is going to be an interesting season. Patience. And that's it. Love you guys. And Andy, love you. I will say, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
Everybody. Later.